Hang on.
So, I don't wanna hear any excuses after, I better expect everybody passing this freaking course with Peter better in their whole history. And I'll see the smiley faces in the fall, other than, alright, so everybody signed up for the practical?
You're like, where's it coming?
Yes. Yes. They all come like beaches all around. Okay, so let me move all forward so you can hear me better. You know, so you can record over here. I'll stand behind.
Oh, yeah, why don't I use my
so we
voice
can hear me
recorder?
better. So you guys want to sit first at the table, that's fine, listen. All right, so let's start with this thing. First, so we try to go in order on it, so the abdomen. What is a blind pouch? Cecum, exactly. The question's gonna be asking you about the cecum. Simple as that. What hangs off a cecum? Appendix. What does a human have that the cat doesn't have? An right, we have an appendix, the cat does not, okay? Bile, what is it? What's its function? It's an emulsifier. And what's it do? It breaks down fat. Now fat's weird because fat absorbs right through your GI tract into the lymphatic system, then goes around to the liver. So it's weird the way it absorbs, where proteins and carbs go through to the liver. So fats are a weird structure. What is chyme or chyme? That's my stomach. It's the stuff that leaves the stomach and goes to the small intestine, which would be right. You can shut this all the way. Everybody's in here, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, let's see. Cup-like divisions in the renal pelvis. Bless you. I just said it. What are cup-like divisions? Calyx. A calyx. Calyx. That's a cup-like division. Calyx. The external longitudinal bands found on the colon. The tenia coli. Tenia coli. And what do they create when they contract? A pouch called a rostrum. Remember that stuff? No, I don't, Professor. I forget. Okay. And the folds or the ridges in the wall of the stomach are the rugae, not to be mixed up with reggae. Rugae. Because reggae might be one of your choices. Don't answer that one because you'll be wrong on your test. Tricky. Let's see. Hold on. Hepatic caudal vein. What's it do? Nobody has the answer, huh? It drains the whole entire gut to where? To the sewer plant? Where's it drain? To the liver. For what? Detoxification. What's a hypochondriac besides half your students? Where is the hypochondriac region? It'd be lateral to what? The epigastric. Oh my God. And if I was in the right hypochondriac, what would I look for there? This, what's this? The gallbladder. And if it was in the left hypochondriac region, most likely be the spleen. Okay? Got it? All right. So we're so like into it, huh? Mesentery. Let me see what I'm thinking of. Mesentery. So we'll come back to that. Muscle of the anterior abdominal wall. These two questions are similar. So, which one would be a muscle that would aid in secondary respiration? That would be the rectus abdominis. And then what are the four muscles of the anterior abdominal wall? External oblique, internal oblique, rectus abdominis, transverse abdominis. Remember that? So that's what we mean by that stuff. What's Odie? What is Odie? A sphincter or an ampulla? It's a sphincter. The sphincter of Odie and the ampulla of Vater are found where? Where the pancreas and the bile duct pour into the duodenum. Remember that?
So found in the duodenum?
They're found where you would enter the duodenum. They're found inside the pancreas where you enter the duodenum. What's this? Oh, we late. Get in here. Yes, it is. Your classmates are very upset with you. Here, before you go anywhere else, sign up. What time you taking the practice? 8:30 or 9? Where'd you go? 8:30 or 9:30 next week? Yeah, 8 years ago. What's your name? This is something work.
Yeah, so we have stuff there.
Hang on one second, guys.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, you're right.
So everybody's here now. All right, let's get back into it. Mesentery. I can't figure out. Oh, what are the mesenteries? What are their functions? 3 major functions the mesenteries have. What are they?
Protection.
Protect from, well, wall off against infection. So they wall off infection, anchor the organs. All you're going to hear is a cough now.
Sorry.
Anchor the organs. So wall off for infection, anchor organs, and what else? An easy way to get blood and lymph in and out of the abdomen. Blood and lymph supply in and out of the abdomen. That's the mesentery. What is a dorsal mesentery? Give me an example. Momentum. Omentum. Which omentum, the greater or the lesser? Which one is a dorsal? Well, it's not lesser, it's going to be greater. So the greater momentum would be dorsal, and the lesser momentum is a ventral mesentery. Should you clear that up? This goes like 2 points. Bing, bing, gone. Pancreas. Pancreas has 2 type functions. What are they known as? Exocrine and endocrine, right? So what's its exocrine function? Right, secretes digestive enzymes in buffer solutions. What is its endocrine function? Secretes glucagon and insulin to control blood sugars. Parts of the cat. So the cat doesn't have an appendix, you do. Cat has a what? Uterine horn, you don't. Peritoneum. Peritoneum, what are the parts of the peritoneum? You get the visceral and parietal peritoneum, correct? So that's that. Primary method of moving food within the GI tract is known as peristalsis. Peristalsis. What are the 3 parts of the small intestine? Duodenum. How long is the duodenum? 10 inches. Jejunum, 8 feet. Ileum, 11 feet. And what do you find in the small intestine for absorption? Well, villi, right? Is that what you're going to say? Well, they do. It has both. It has villi. Okay. Don't turn all red. You were right. Okay. Subcostal. That's the subcostal line. What is that? What's the difference between the subcostal line versus the transpyloric line? Somebody tell me. Which one is higher, the transpyloric or the subcostal? Which one's higher, transpyloric or subcostal? Transpyloric is higher. It runs what? Rib 9, L1, rib 9. What's the significance of the transpyloric line? If you are an organ on or above that line, even though you're an abdominal organ, you are protected by the rib cage. Okay, subcostal line or subcostal plane runs rib 10, L3 rib 10. That's the top line to divide the abdomen into 9 sections, remember? And the other one was the intertubercular line. Then you have the 2 coming down, which are the midclavicular line, and you got 9 regions. So that means the epigastric and the hypochondriac spaces would be above the subcostal line. Units of the kidney. Functional unit of the kidney is what? Nephron. How many are there between the 2 kidneys? 2.5 million. The vagus nerve. Number 10. What is it? The largest parasympathetic nerve in the body. And what lines the small intestine increases surface area? Come on, Ruby, what does it? What lines the small intestine and increases surface area? Villi, exactly. Microvilli and villi. Okay, head and neck. What's the endocrine gland found in your neck? Right around here. On the hangs off the thyroid cartilage. Thyroid gland, my God. Thyroid cartilage, thyroid gland. That was a killer, I know. What gland is related to the condition known as mumps? The one over here, big cell. What? The big cell? Parotid, right. Parotid gland. Tonsils. Which tonsils are removed in a tonsillectomy? Palatine or pharyngeal? Palatine or pharyngeal? Which ones are removed in a tonsillectomy? What? Right, think of palatine. So what's removed in an adenoidectomy? Pharyngeal. Am I said know that? You nod yours. Okay. In disappointment. Heart and circulation. The branch of the umbilical artery of the fetus serves what in the adult? The bladder, urinary bladder. Brings ligaments to the bladder and brings blood supply to the urinary bladder. Do all arteries carry oxygenated blood? True or false? False. Which arteries would be totally oxygenated? Systemic. Well, this should be how many arteries and veins are found in the cord, not in the circulation, in the cord. 2 arteries, 1 vein. Left side of the heart, where's the send the blood? Systemic or pulmonary? Systemic. Membrane that surrounds the heart. Pericardium. What cavity does the heart sit in? Pericardial. Where's the pericardial cavity? Mediastinum. Remember the film the other day when she was taking it all out, when she was going through all this stuff? Another name for the left AV valve. Another name for the left atrioventricular valve. What? There he is, bicuspid or mitral. Okay? Right side of the heart, where's the send the blood? Lung, so it's pulmonary circulation. Trabecular where do you find them? Oh, in the butcher market in a Spanish neighborhood, right? Yes, because of carne. No. Come on, where do you find trabecular? In the walls of the ventricles. And what do veins do? They bring blood where? Back to the heart. They return back to the heart to what chambers? The atria. Okay? See how easy this is so far? Brachial plexus. What are the roots of the brachial plexus? I don't know. C4 to C7, C5 to T1, C5 to T1, C5 to T1, C5 to T1. Must be that. C5, C6, C7, C8, T1, correct? Those are the roots of the brachial plexus. Wow. I don't know, somebody's calling you.
I think you said it.
Wait, can you repeat that?
What are the roots of the brachial plexus?
No, I was just going to ask
Did you say so many?
I didn't say so many things. It's C5 to T1. That's where it begins. What are the 5 branches of the nerve? What is the problem? It's right here. C5, T1. Oh my God, look. There. 9, 6, 7, 8, T1. There they are. That's the brachial plexus. What are the 5 nerves of the brachial plexus? Do you know that? No. Which 3 feed the anterior arm? Let's go. Come on. Person's dead. It took too long. Go ahead. What? No, anterior arm. I'm saying nerves. Anterior arm. Nerves to the anterior arm. What nerve is over here? Musculocutaneous. What goes to my thumb? Median. What goes to my pinky? Ulna. What does the back of the whole arm? Radial. What does the shoulder? Axillary. There you go. There's your 5 nerves. You're making like I never talked about this. Central nervous system made up of what? There's no nerves. It's made up of what? The brain and the spinal cord. So mainly interneurons. or motor neuron or sensory neuron, but no nerves.
So that's false.
It's not gonna be a true or false question, it'll be something that's gonna dig into you. There are no nerves, correct? Cranial nerve part? No. Spinal nerve? No. Cranial nerves are part of the peripheral system. The PNS is cranial nerves, spinal nerves. The central nerves is brain and spinal cord. What would be in there? Neurons, right? The motor neuron, the sensory neuron, and the interneuron. There you go. Where do you see nerve? Nowhere. The nerve root is when you exit the IVF. All right? This is how much you love to think. Cranial nerves, 12. All right. So in other words, just to know stuff about your cranial nerves. I don't know which ones are there. What's 5? Is 5 parasympathetic? Huh? You're right. Why are you doubting yourself? Don't be scared. She didn't yell at you. Is 5 parasympathetic? She said no. She's right. What are the 4 parasympathetic cranial nerves? 3, 7, 9, 10. You know them just like that? What nerves innervate the tongue? 5, 7, 9, 12. Got it? What nerves innervate the ocular muscles of the eye? 3, 4, 6. So do you know your nerves like that? No, we do not, Professor. Should we know them like that by next Wednesday? Yes, Professor, we should. All right? And that's a simple way of asking about them. So what is 5? What's its name? I slap you, it hurts. What is that? Oh, it's not trigonometry, trigeminal. No, trigeminal, not trigonometry. Trigeminal. So now, does that have both fibers? Yes. So what is its motor fibers? What's this telling me? Muscles of what? There you go. I figured you'd remember that next week. And so what are the muscles of the facial nerve? Muscles of facial expression. Which one would have Bell's palsy? 7 or 5? Which one would show my face is paralyzed? 7. 7 would. Okay? Are we good? So, what is 9 innervate? What particular muscle does it innervate to make you say, oh? No, it's not a sneeze, but it's not stylopharyngeus. Stylopharyngeus. Do you remember that? Which one does taste to the posterior third of tongue? Right, the one we're just talking about. So what division in the 8th nerve is involved with balance? What's the name of the nerve? Vestibulocochlear. So what division deals with balance? Vestibular, vestibular, right? Which one deals with hearing? Cochlear. Those are 2 separate nerves in one, so you can get asked individual questions about it. So don't say, I screwed up, and you went, no. Because one of you will, one will come up to you. CSF, what's it similar to? Blood plasma, exactly right. What's the 2 key ingredients in there? Oxygen and glucose. How fast we forget. Because the brain loves to burn glucose. Because it loves that stuff. And where would I find CSF? What space? What meningeal space? What? Subarachnoid, exactly. Subarachnoid space. Did you remember that? No, not at all? And what were you saying? Where is it made? Oh, I thought you were saying it's made here? Well, it's made in here. But where? What? At the coracoid plexus, and where are they found? In the ventricles of the brain. So lateral, third, and fourth ventricles where you make CSF, right? Dorsal root ganglion. What type of fiber would that be? Sensory, motor, or mixed? Dorsal root? Sensory. Motor's in the front, dorsal's in the back. Should have known that, my friend over here, and she didn't. Phylum terminale. What's that? What is it made of? Is it nerve tissue? Don't get a migraine over it, relax. Just your phylum terminale, what's it made out of? Is it nerve tissue or connective tissue? Is it made of nerve tissue or connective tissue? So it's going to anchor something, so it's going to be connective tissue, and it's a remnant of what? A modified pia mater, exactly. And it anchors it where? To your foot? The talus? No, not the talus. Coccyx? Talus. Every time I move my leg, my back hurts. So yeah, okay. All right. Function of a motor neuron. That's a stupid question. What the hell am I asking with this? All right, function of a motor. So what's it doing? Motor neurons bring information to the CNS or bring information out of the CNS? Out of. They go CNS to PNS to make the reaction happen. Horsetail, what's the other name for it? Cauda equina, right? And it starts roughly around L2. So when I start this L2, what space gets created above the meninges? What space starts roughly and runs from L2 to S2 that starts because now there's a space there? Because now the spinal cord became the cauda equina. All I see is like deer looking into a headlight.
That's why I looked down.
That's right. He smiles. He looks down like he's pretending he's reading his notes. Epidural space, remember? Epidural space would be created now. Just don't give me those big, pretty smiles. You gotta give me answers too. Because the smile's not gonna get you an A. Interneurons, where are they found? In the CNS or PNS? CNS, exactly. And what do they do with information? It's right in its name, integrate. They integrate the information, they decide what to do with it. The hell am I, a jugular, mandibular? Oh, all right. Jugular. What three cranial nerves go through the jugular foramen? 9, 10, and 11. 9, 10, and 11. What nerve goes to the mandibular foramen? What division of the fifth cranial nerve goes to the mandibular? No, I'm sorry. I'm screwing that up. What division would give me and travel to the mandibular foramen? The mandibular, which is the third division of the fifth cranial nerve. Yeah. And the maxillary nerve is what division of that nerve? The second. And what does that travel to? The rotundum or the ovale? Ooh, rotundum. And the other guy would go through ovale as it makes its way down, wouldn't it? So the mandibular division would go through the ovale, and the maxillary division goes through rotundum. I knew they're in there somewhere. So just make sure you know those foramen, especially for number 5, what it's going through. You're being told, so you missed this, and you know what? No feeling bad. Median. The median nerve, what's the roots of the median nerve? C5 to T1, the whole damn plexus, you know, remember, I know. And does it innervate the flexor carpi radialis. Does it innervate the flexor carpi radialis? Yes, it does. She's right. She's like, yes. And is it involved in a condition called carpal tunnel syndrome, which creates APAN? The answer is yes, it is. It's the nerve for carpal tunnel is the median. You get APAN. Why? Because you can't oppose your thumb because you lose the muscles here. As you've been working on this, you're putting all this information in as you do it. Like its roots. What does it innervate? You know, what disease would be associated with it? Okay?
So median, there's
Median
a median
nerve.
and a medial.
There's no
Tell-
medial nerve. There's no such thing as a medial nerve. There's a medial cord. It's not a
medial
nerve.
cord.
Right. So never call on the practical the median nerve medial nerve because it's wrong. It's a medial cord, not a medial nerve. Okay? All right. Before you beat me up, motor neuron. Don't worry about them. Where would you find the motor neuron? Within the spinal cord, or outside the spinal cord? In what part of the spinal cord? Ventral or dorsal? Where would you find the motor neuron? Would it be within the spinal cord? And which surface is it on, the ventral or dorsal? Well, I already mentioned a dorsal root ganglion. What was that? Sensory. And that was not within the spinal cord. It sits right outside it. I'm not talking about the column, I'm talking about the cord. Does this sit within the spinal cord? The answer is yes. So you don't have a ganglion there. And which side does it sit on? The ventral or the dorsal? Well, if I just mentioned a dorsal root ganglion, this is... No, that's wrong, dorsal. So it's going to be on the ventral side. Oh my God, it's going to make the ventral root.
So part of it is in and part of it is out?
All of it's
or
in.
It's all in?
All in. The sensory's
Oh,
outside.
neuron.
Right.
Neuron.
Whoop, don't
Not
throw your pen at
nerve.
me. Calm down. Don't get...
Not nerve.
No, no, no.
neuron.
You're thinking of nerves. Thinking of neuron.
All right, okay.
We're talking about the cell body when I
Got it.
mention like that.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, thank you.
Does that make sense to you now?
Yeah.
The nerve for hearing. If it's not the vestibular, it's the what? Cochlea is the nerve for hearing. And what cranial nerve number is that? Spinal cord ends where in the newborn? L4. L4. L2 in the adult, L4 in the newborn, and coccyx in the fetus. Pia mater. Is the pia mater highly vascularized? Yes. And what layer is that? The innermost layer is the pia mater. Okay. Radial. So we must be talking about radial nerve. What would be associated with the radial? Now, is it true the flexor carpi radialis is innervated by the radial nerve? No? What do you think?
I don't know what to think.
Okay.
Wait, you say flexor or?
Yeah, I did say that. So no, you're right. It'd be the extensors. So would the extensor carpi ulnaris be innervated by the radial nerve? Yes, because it's on the extensor surface. So what condition would be seen if someone had a radial nerve issue? Wrist drop. They can't extend their wrist. Are the triceps and brachioradialis innervated by the radial nerve? Yes. Besides those other muscles. What is the nerve roots of the radial nerve? C5 to T1, the whole plexus. Who knows the roots of the ulnar nerve? C8, T1. Actually, like a C5-6. Musculocutaneous C5-6-7. Wow. Yes, he's showing off. He's just showing off. Go ahead, you can say it. Types of neurons within the central nerve. There's 3 of them. What are the 3 neurons in the CNS? Say them. Sensory, motor, and interneuron. Okay, good. Vagus. What number is that? 10. What if, so what's it kind of run from where to where? So pretty much your throat all the way down to the proximal third of the large intestine. Proximal third of the, so the ascending colon.
So that's the largest one, right?
Yes, it's the longest and largest. The term vagus means wandering, a vagrant, a wanderer, okay? It's the largest parasympathetic nerve in the body.
It's the largest one.
Parasympathetic nerve in the body. And last is white matter. What is it made out of? Why is it white? Myelin. And what cell in the peripheral system creates myelin? The oligodendrite or the Schwann?
No.
The Schwann cell. Oligodendrites do it where? In the central nervous system. Yeah.
I told you, I'm the central
So you remember that stuff? Remember? The oligodendrite and the yeah, now you remember it. They both create myelin. One does it in the CNS, Schwann does it in the PNS. All right. Almost done, people. Getting to the end. Abdominal pelvic cavity. The abdominal and pelvic cavity is separated by the pelvic diaphragm or the pelvic brim. The pelvic brim. Fill it to the rim with brim. That coffee that was around. Crura of the penis attaches to the pelvic bones by way of the ischiocavernosus muscle. Ischiocavernosus muscle. Remember the pelvic diaphragm? Ischiocavernosus, bulbospongiosis, transverse. No? Well, that's the answer to that. So there you got it. Pelvic diaphragm is composed of levator ani and coccygeus. You wouldn't remember this, we just did these. Levator ani and coccygeus. What's the pelvic diaphragm do? Keeps your organs from falling in the toilet, correct? And the size of the female urethra, is it 20 centimeters, 4 centimeters? 4 centimeters. 1.5, real small, real tiny. Yeah, 1.5 inches are roughly 4 centimeters. Okay, easy. Reproduction, cervix. What's that separate? What from what? The urethra from the urethra?
No, vagina.
Vagina from the urethra? The who? Vagina from the uterus. Well, somebody said urethra. All right. What are the contents of the penis? What's in the penis? Well, the spongy urethra and the spongiosal tissues, which would be the cavernosa and spongiosum. And what's the head of the penis? Come on, think of the guy from Sweden, glans. No, glans, G. Glans penis. Glans. Glans penis. And what's the foreskin's name? Prepuce. Prepuce. P-R-E-P-U-C-E. Prepuce. Datos. What is the datos muscle for playing dots? Does that raise and lower the testy?
Yes.
Or does it tense the scrotum?
Oh.
You already asked me this and you forgot already. It tenses the scrotum. Which one raises and lowers the testes? The cremaster muscle.
I was thinking about the same thing.
Well, one will work with erectile tissue in the shaft of the penis is known as the corpora or corpus. That's the erectile tissue. Estrogen. Where's it come from? Ovaries. Tough one. What's the Wolffian duct become in the male? In the adult male? The vas deferens or ductus deferens. What would it become in the female then? Exactly, fallopian tubes. What do we cut in male sterilization? The vas deferens. Hence called vasectomy. Mammary gland, what's that? What's the mammary gland? It's your breast, right? You guys took not man gland, mammary gland. It's a modified sweat gland, and it's in the breast. It makes up the breast. Do males have them? Yes. Can a male get breast cancer? Yes. You didn't know that. If one male has it in the family, every male has to have their breast removed, because it's, everybody will have it. It's not if, not like in a female. It's really bad. Estrogen, let's see, parts of the human female organ. You're comparing you to the cat. So, do you have a uterine horn? The answer is no. I think you know your other parts: vagina, cervix, uterus, fallopian tube, ovary, broad ligament, round ligament. I think we know that stuff. Greater and lesser labia, labia major or minor, either way you want to call it. Let's see, primary sex organ. The penis is homologous to what in the female? What? Yeah, clitoris, you're right. Clitoris. Clitoris are, some say clitoris.
Yeah, I listened to the audio on the PAL because people say it different ways.
They do,
So.
they do.
And, you know, they always say,
Some
well,
will
there are
say-
regional differences.
There are, and they're right. It's just like, it's dialect. Just like in a foreign language, dialect. We all say things differently. As long as you can spell it, and you can read it and understand it, that's what counts. Let's see. Penis is, all right. Primary sex organ of the male and female, the gonads. The breast would be secondary. Here is secondary. Okay? So the gonads, you know, the actual ovary and the testes. And sex organs are referred to as gonads. Spermatozoa stored where in the male? The epididymis, right? They're made in the testes and they store in the epididymis. Remember that? Primary sex organs differentiate 6 weeks. We're going to use for our terminology. 6 weeks, not months, weeks. 6 weeks. You missed that. That's good. That's the damn question right there. When do they differentiate? If you, some of these are the actual stinking questions. So you missed this crap. That means you didn't even look at this after. Okay. What is found in the spermatic cord? Gold? No. What's in the cord? Artery, vein, nerve, cremaster muscle, and the vas deferens. Where do spermatozoa and ovum unite? Outside? Exactly, the fallopian tube. The distal third of the fallopian tube. Respiratory says, what's alveoli? Oh, the little cheese things. Oh no, that's ravioli. What are alveoli? That's where gas exchange takes place.
Isn't that your,
It's in my lung, yes. They're in your lung. Yeah.
pointed to
Yeah. They're in your lung, and that's where gas exchange, that's where the actual respiratory center of the lung is at the alveoli. They just, so what's the difference between type 1 and type 2?
Oh, type 3
Type-
secretes that
Type
stuff.
3? No, not type 3, type 1 and 2.
Type 2 is that thing that starts with an S. That
Surfactant, and that holds it open to keep tissue resistance. 1 is where gas exchange takes place, okay? Cricoid, where do you find that? In the larynx, right?
Yeah.
And it's the only one that makes a total ring structure is the cricoid. Diaphragm, origin and function. Where does the diaphragm originate from? And what happens when it contracts? It originates from the xiphoid, costal cartilage, ribs, L1, 2, 3 in the back. And its function is supposed to help you breathe. How's it do it? When it contracts, it flattens itself. It flattens. Forced expiration. Is energy expelled during forced expiration? Yes. How about at rest? No. Hilus. What is that? That's the root of the lung. What exit and enters through the hilus of the lung? Primary bronchi, pulmonary artery, and pulmonary veins, correct? And there's other stuff, but that's all we taught you here. What is the admit inhalation? The left dome of the diaphragm is at what level of rib 5? Superior or inferior? Who said inferior? You're right, inferior. Because the heart's in the way. Always think of the heart being in the way. If it was on the right, it'd be superior of rib 5. So inferior rib 5. Oh, good God. Forced expiration. Left primary bronchus. Which one is long, narrow, and more horizontal, the left or the right? The left. So there's your description of the left primary bronchus. The right would be short, wide, more vertical. Phrenic nerve. Good friend of mine, phrenic nerve. Phrenic nerve. What's the roots of the phrenic nerve? What was the little saying I told you? Think of 5 alive. C3, 4, 5 keeps my diaphragm alive. So what are the roots of the phrenic nerve? C3, 4, 5. Unbelievable.
That reminds me of some movie with the 80s with that Stephanie, actress's name was, her name, she was playing someone named Stephanie as a robot. Number 5 alive.
Oh.
So now you should never forget this.
What was it?
Short circuit.
It's
circuit.
short
Ali
circuit,
Sheedy,
yes.
Ali Sheedy
Is
was
it
playing someone
true?
named Stephanie.
Is it true the pulmonary artery is rich in oxygen? Is it true the pulmonary artery is rich in oxygen? Come on, you know that. Which one is? The vein. And last but not least, the trachea. Tell me about the trachea. What's it made of? C-shaped highly cartilaginous rings. What's it lined with? Pseudostratified columnar ciliated epithelium. And where's it run from? C what? T what? C6 to T4. C6 to T4. And what is that, the last tracheal segment's name? Sounds like a girl. The carina? The carina? All right. That's about it, people. It's not a bad test because the way the test is, whose was this? This was yours, Steph? Samantha? So, I can't detail